so I want to talk about this one. How many of you really have no money for a deal? How many say, like, I really don't have any money for a deal? I see most of this crowd. I think most of you do. All right, a couple of you are like, I'm a little tight on money. All right, guys, that's okay. All right, been there. All right. We know. Go to exchangers. This is a case study. This is something we did just the end of last year. Here's the story on it. This is an equity play, okay? So property deals, it's a 4-unit in Colton, down the road. Has a separate parking lot, separate APN. Current value at the time, the deal was done, was like $450. That really wasn't counting the lot, I think. I don't think I was counting the lot. And the current rental income at the time was $2,100 because 2 units were empty. And some friends called me and said, hey, we want to sell. Okay, I couldn't find the T-bar thing, so I had to go pros and cons. And they wanted to sell. I'm like, why? What do you mean you want to sell? I sold this to them years ago. Why would you want to sell? Like 10 years ago. Why do you want to sell? This is a nice 4-unit. And we had some delayed maintenance, but it was a nice 4-unit. You guys should be cash flowing like crazy. We're not. And I didn't sit down with them. I did all over the phone because I knew them. But they were upset with the landlord. Read this. Current rents are $2,140. Mortgage was $1,700. So what does that mean? They were losing money because they had a water bill. They still had to pay the landlord. They had higher expenses. They had 2 vacant units. They had like a month, and they were losing their insurance. Yes? They were upset with, my bad. They were upset with their property manager. Thank you. Somehow I conflated those two. But they were upset with their, true. They literally were furious with a property management company who I referred them to, who was a good friend, and So the bottom line is they were not feeling this. It had done well. I used to manage it for years and did fine. And they were literally losing insurance because they needed new roofs, and they just didn't know what to do. They had 2 long-term tenants under market. I put them in there like many years ago. One of them was being extremely difficult, and there were 2 partners, completely unrelated, that owned the place. One partner was bearing all the stress, doing all the work. I don't know if that sounds familiar to anybody, if anyone ever has a partnership. One's doing all the work, paying all the bills, and the other one now got married, doing his own thing and enjoying life, and he's like, yeah, there's a problem. Okay, well, you'll fix it. I love both of them, don't get me wrong. And so tired. She goes, Evan, I just want out. And I'm like, you shouldn't sell it. I love you too much. Don't sell it. And she's like, well, what would you do? And I'm like, well, what do you really want? I know, she said she wanted it sold, wanted it gone because of stress, wanted less problems. And she just was done. They literally couldn't get it. Just buy it from us. What do you want? And I just couldn't do it to them. I would have. But it was struggled because I really knew that they enjoyed rental income, they love the appreciation, and they know the long-term benefits. So my offer is one, you can list with Angela if you guys just want to list. But I could buy out one of you, the one that got married. But how I'm going to buy you out is say there's 2 partners. The one, I want you to stay in. You're going to refinance. You're going to pay him his equity. And then we'll stay in. And then I'll come in as an equity partner, and this is one of my offers. And then I'll come in on that. It's the loan's there. The problem is the loan was only like a 4.5% loan or something like that, 5%, 4 3/8. So it was a good loan. It had been paid down for like 9 years. Really didn't want to touch it. But I offered, I said, look, I can buy you both out, but I want to do it as a sub-2 deal because I liked the, matter of fact, I liked the loan so much and how it was paid down, I worked out a couple things with them. But then I said, look, I can buy one of you out, or how about this? You guys stay owning it, and I'm going to manage it. But I get a percentage of the income because I'm going to now own a percentage. The day one I walk in, I own like 25%, and I have a $30,000 minimum, which means if we sell in 3 days, I get $30,000 minimum just for my time. They said, okay. So our solution was 25% equity. I got $30,000 minimum equity at the moment. Just didn't matter. And it was above their $450 value because I sold to them like $270 years ago, and they had earned some. So I became manager with a fee, plus I get a percentage of the rental income. Both partners stayed, and then I got one of the partners to lend $50,000 We created a trust, put the property in trust, and one partner personally at $50,000 at 6% for 10 years to do all the things we needed to do. We had to move fast. And I got a new roof on, got that done. The insurance company said, okay, well, they canceled. We had like 3 days left. They rescinded. We had rehab to 2 units. We went from 930 in one unit to 1350, and 1210 with the other management company said they get to 1600. And we rented them out. So now they're getting 5,090, and the new ARV is about 7 because there's again an extra lot on. The main part is about 600,000 because what lots there were 625. All right, so did that. Remember, I have no money in the deal, a little bit of time. Okay, my friends are very happy because when one of them was going to get bought out, he goes, wait, if you two are staying, I want to stay in. He was the one without all the stress. But he's like, well, I want to stay in because I know it's a good deal. Okay. And by the way, those two people that bought it, he had a good job. She had good credit, but she worked 10 jobs. She's like a gig employee. And together they bought it from Angela and I years and years ago, okay, because they bought several properties that way because it worked for them, even though he had no money in because she had money. So they just worked together, and they bought several properties together. And they still, even though he married, the bottom line, they still did that, and it worked very well for them until this situation. So when it came down to me that we did this, so I put people in there, we took care of the problem, we got it rented, and the bottom line, did I solve their seller situation? Yeah, they were no longer upset with their management because it's me. I'm an owner now. I care very deeply. The rents went way up. Mortgages now you're not having to funnel this thing and keep throwing money at it. My guys were doing work cheaper than those guys, than the property manager, and I'm still working with the 2 long-term tenants. One of them is difficult. It's been this bear, but it's fine. They just trying to doesn't matter. Anyway, the bottom line, basically what happens, they're saying the other property management company promised them something, and I'm like, they denied you. There is no promise there. We had to send them a letter, and too bad. Point is that they've come in line, and we're making money. And Angela and I don't know, we're getting somewhere around $700, $900 a month from that, and I have no money in. I haven't been in the property in 2 months. All right? We've got some good payers in it. So it's good. Bottom line, how many tired housing providers, landlords are out there? Thousands. They're out there. Listen to what they're saying, okay? Listen to what they're saying. If you could solve, hey, if I could take care of all that for you, this is why I like going back to the T-bar, writing it down and sitting and saying where you're at, where you want to be. And then sitting there with them and then have them, if they say, well, I want to keep my house, and sit down and go through everything. It's like the pros and cons and look where they're at, how much money you're making, et cetera, and they'll come to their own conclusion that they can't, they have to sell. And you're like, yeah, you let them come up with that they need to do that in that case. All right? A lot of times it'll become clear. Plus, when you draw that out, you find that people, if you keep talking to them, because people lie. So what will happen, the more you write down, usually that first or second lie, it will get put aside, and you kind of get to the truth of why they're selling or what's really going on. So understand that. So we did that. This other deal we did, same thing. This one worked as a flip, okay? This wasn't going to work as a flip. Again, you listen to your sellers. This was a little while ago. The seller hadn't paid mortgage in 2 years. It was a referral. I bought someone's house, took care of them in DeVore, and they referred me to a relative of theirs. And the guy was a vet, hadn't paid in 2 years. Beautiful home, 2,500 square foot, acre lot with an ADU and a detached garage in the back. They had a 4-car garage basically between the 2 garages, single story house. Just a really nice, like executive style type house, just 2,500 square feet though. 30-year, 4.37 loan in place. And that's kind of what I knew, ARV 525. So we walk in the house, we sit down with them. And I pull them, drawing this out, literally drawing out with them. And they're in forbearance, which means the government at the time said you do not have to make the house payments. Yep. They literally were just like, we don't want people losing their houses at the time. Just don't make your payment. Just communicate with us, and we'll solve it later. So they were living, the guy bought his house. I think he made one payment and then didn't make a payment for 2 years. Then he let his 5- and 8-year-old paint their bedrooms with no help. Plus, so the house was nice, but there was a couple little things, okay? His wife I think, was shorter than my wife, and she painted the walls black in their master up to the point where she couldn't reach anymore. So about right here, it was 12-foot ceiling. It just paint strip, okay? So a couple rooms need to be repainted, and some stuff need to be cleaned up, okay? This is what they did. So they were worried about losing their house. They owed $40,000 in arrears. I didn't know that at first because I didn't get that out of them yet. They just wanted to sell, and I knew that they owed some money, and I was trying to figure it out. Oh, I'll just catch it up. That was my idea. I'll pay 10 grand, 20 grand, and some lost payments. Then I found out they're in forbearance, and it's like, okay, I've heard of that. Oh, yeah, that's that COVID thing going on. He hadn't worked in a while. I think PTSD was going on. I think he was on disability of some kind. And they had a job opportunity out of state with family. They want out. I just want to go. I need cash. Oh, and I need a new home we want to be in our new place by December 18th. Very important part of this. And it was like the end of September, October 1, something like that. Right. However, so we're like, okay, I'm really trying to do what's best for them, though. Understand that. I really come in that with that. I want to make money, but I want to do what's best for them. So where do you want to be? How do you want to do it? I go, well, they want their home sold. They want a little bit of money in pocket. They want the threat and the stress gone. They want to move. They want the new job opportunity. They want to start over, less stress. They were there. The guy had been in Afghanistan, was in an accident, and I just need to go, man. I need a new place. This is triggering and all the other stuff. Really nice guy. And that's what I knew. Okay. So I'm like, what's going on? Because what we found is they owed I thought they owed like $350. They actually owed like $380. And then I realized, wait a second, or $370. There's a forbearance going on. So, but my offer was like, look, list on the MLS with Angela. All right, because I can't buy this for $400,000, put 10, 15 into it, sell it for $5, and make any money. It's just not worth it for what I'm going to pay. Interest rate, I just wasn't going to make $15,000. And if I pay $500,000 or $400,000, cash flow doesn't work as well. Barely, it could have, but no, I just didn't want to do it. So the backup offer was a subject to deal. Hey, look, let's sell it, see if you get what you want. If not, my offer, it's still there. I didn't give him a third or fourth option. I usually do, but I didn't. So it literally was listed on the MLS. We fronted some fix-up money, a few bucks, not much. She listed for $470 because time is important. They owed $380. Sellers, okay, they owed $380. They should net, let's say, $60,000. Yeah, and it was still a young family. I think it was early 30s, something like that. But it's the holidays in the high desert. And at the time, a $500,000 house is the top of the market, unless it's just they just slow market. So the house wasn't getting offers. What do you think the wife's main issue was on the list of problems? Let's see. What do you think her issue is on that? She needed to be in a new home because the kids had to be signed up on December 18th. That was her number one thing. We got to be out of here. That was it. She needed to be out. They wanted to be in a new home. So what happened, we ran out of time. They started getting offers, and they were like $465 or like $450, $455. And started doing the math. By the time they paid commissions, escrow, title, they were going to end up with about what I was offering. Because I said I have $40,000 cash is what I can play with. That's it. That's all I have. Okay? So I could give you money and do this, but that's all I can do. So once they realized that they're going into an escrow in like early November, and we weren't sure if it was going to close in time because of what was going on, and they were so adamant, and my offer was now as good as theirs, and I was just going to keep their loan in place and help their credit, even though I don't remember if forbearance hurt them. I don't think it did, but they were I think they were still having issues before they went in there. I think their credit was shot before the forbearance started because I don't think they caught up yet. So in other words, they first started missing payments, credit got shot, and then the government came out with a program of forbearance. I think that's what it was because their credit was just gone. So my backup offer was like $40,000 down, takeover mortgage, work out a move-out schedule. You know, we can move any time. I was very lenient on that. And what actually happened was we ended forbearance. We got on the phone with them, talked to the bank, explained, hey, just helping a friend, you know, and did three-way calls, and they got the $42,000 whatever put on the back of the loan, and then we found out that they owed like 20 grand more than they told me, and that's when we made some adjustments, made the loan current because once it was in forbearance, made that payment. I think we gave them the money for that. Made that loan. We're good. Bought the property subject to existing 4.375 loan. The payment's like $2,350, and it rents for $3,600 because it's got an ADU in the back. We rent to one family. So we rent the front and we rent the back, one family. Okay? So what they got, we ended up giving them, I think we had to change it to, we gave them $31,000, $32,000, because I can't eat the full $20,000. I just can't. There's just not, but I ate like half of it. So we gave them $31,000, and they walked away with about $22,000. You looked it up, $24,000. And what do you think's the first thing, by the way? They moved out. They got there in time. They had a couple days to spare. They were very happy. I still talk to them once in a while via email or text. We got this, by the way, on a 10-year agreement that I don't have to refinance or sell for 10 years. And in 10 years, I'll give them more money. I think it's a couple thousand, 2,000. And I can go for another 10 years, provided they agree. Okay? So I got like 6 more years on this. So anyway, they moved out. And we were then, all right, figuring this out, and they had a whiteboard they left. And they said all the things they were doing. What do you think they did with their $22,000 that they needed to get to the next state and move and get a new place? Kids to Disneyland, kids to Knott's Berry Farm. They had 3 or 4 kids. So there's 6 of them going. Knott's Berry Farm, they had that date. Universal Studios. Knott's Berry Farm, I think Magic Mountain was on there, and I went, well, there's $5,000, $6,000 right there. That was important to them. They did move to this little town in Nevada, and everything seems to be going well. Like I said, I talk to them every so often. Yes?